Hi everyone, my name is Raza. As you know, this is going to go across the social media family, and we're at the Baker Street Property Meet November, the last one of the year. We'll be speaking to Ranjan and Andrew Roberts later. We've even got Sam from Blue Bricks magazine. Sam, thank you for coming with us. Are you looking forward to the show today?
I am. You give me a little tour around London before I got here, saw where Sherlock Holmes lives, and now we're at the Baker Street Property Meet, so looking forward to it.
It's going to be amazing how many entrepreneurs, the amount of value that's going to be created, and we know people like Sam and others will add value to the event as well. So get ready for that. Thank you so much.
Oh, new camera. You've upgraded.
This is a Scott. No, I've got this all the time, but we will use it for the podcast.
Yeah.
When you come in for your podcast,
do you know you can get capital allowances on that? Write it off in the first year. Up to £1 million of stuff you can buy. Did you know that? Huh?
I didn't know that.
I'll put you in touch with a tax advisor.
Oh,
That will help.
Is he going to help you submit before 12 today? Right, anyway.
Annual investment allowance. I'll send you some info.
That's all right. I love it. Are we here? Are we got this? I love it. I love it. Right, we're here with one of the main people. We spoke to Andrew, we're speaking to Ranjan after amazing Baker Street, November 2023. Don't you love it? I'm shouting because I don't know what they're hearing. Right, Ranjan, thank you for taking a few minutes.
Thank you.
He's been swamped. We're getting Ranjan. The value was huge because you've given us a winter statement update. It's all about, everyone's talking about it. PD on the residential.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Right, give us a bit of the big tips on what you think. I know you mentioned it in your presentation.
Yeah, we talked
How
about
are we going to
it.
action this? How are we going to add value and make a difference?
Well, it's a consultation paper. I think it's going to come in. It's going to come in the budget of next year, so it'll be implemented March 2024. It basically allows a residential house in England to be converted into 2 flats under permitted development, and this is the first time ever we've had PD to split a residential property into more than one dwelling.
For me, in my head, so many things just float off straight away. How do you structure all of this? I know we've got different, assuming the current freehold leasehold rules, because it's going to change and there's still papers on how that's going to plan out. This is going to be quite big for a tax perspective as well. So it's going to have a lot of impacts.
It depends on people's exit strategy, because a lot of people will be just doing this, keeping it on one freehold, renting out both units. Some people may be selling them, and at the point of sale they'll split title and create leaseholds and all the rest of it. But the main thing is it adds tremendous value by splitting the property into more than one dwelling.
Absolutely, because that's what people have been doing with the commercial blocks, which you've been talking to people a number about. For me, one of the biggest things is we've got this planning coming in, right? We've also got potentially a new government aspect. And I think you mentioned something really important, which I wasn't aware, the 8-week block before general election. Can you just explain to the audience what you mean by the 8-week planning?
I think a lot of local government goes to sleep when they announce an election, because they've got to go into election mode. So there is just that moratorium. But that's when the election's declared. That's still, and that still may be some time to come. The important thing is that if you put in an application for PD, it's 56 days and you'll get it, and that you have 3 years to implement it. So it's about submitting the application before an election is called.
I think one of the classic things you love to say, and I hope I get it right, first mover's advantage. And what you mentioned is the new PD rules, and what you mentioned in the previous episode around commercial PD changing. Is how do people make sure they take advantage straight away? One of the key things is they've got to invest in knowledge, right?
You've got to invest in knowledge. You've got to invest in looking at what the types of PD will allow you to do, and start putting your feelers out to identify those deals and opportunities.
Massive.
That's the thing. And then if you can, secure the option to purchase that property, wait for the PD to be actually finalised and cast in stone, and then execute.
Perfect. And my last question for Ranjan is, it is a buyer's market, right? We were seeing from Andrew Binstock so many things. How do you feel you take advantage of a buyer's market? What do you feel? If I got property that went 100 grand last year, I'm using those numbers. I know he doesn't go past Watford Gap, right? But let's say the 100k property you're getting. How much you feel the drop now of that same property is from 12 months ago?
It's not about that because it varies. There's no such thing as an average. It varies depending on property type and region and all the rest of it. The most important thing is to change your mindset. In a buyer's market, you have not got to be too. You are buying from motivated sellers. You don't want to be a motivated buyer. What I was seeing time and time again a year ago is people are pumped up about doing a deal, and they're motivated about doing a deal, and they're paying silly money. You've just got to stand back and say and work backwards. This is what I want to create from the property. This is the end value.
Yes.
This is the profit I must make, otherwise it's not worth my while. These are my costs of making that end value. So that then gives you your offer price. That's it.
I think you've got to have a margin of safety in as well, because I think you made a really
Yeah,
good
of course.
point, not just thinking about the value now, what would it be in 6 months from
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
I think that is so important.
Yeah.
You've got to factor that in,
Yeah.
because it's hitting two ways. The value's dropping and the costs are rising
Yeah.
still because of inflation, right? So huge value.
It's the buyer. It's the buyer's market mindset that investors need to have.
And I guess my bit is knowledge. You put a lot of stuff on YouTube. You're quite active on that. Even TikTok now as well,
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
active, right? People should connect with you. We're putting obviously comment obviously yourself in the posts that we do,
yes.
and you can obviously comment. I know he's a busy guy if he does. He's a quite good person to understand your property strategies, because right now, as I was speaking to Andrew Roberts earlier, it's about understanding what will work, especially going forward, and adapting, because things work differently at different times.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a lot of people are not understanding
No.
that. They're still trying to do something that was trying to work about a year ago.
What worked a year ago, 2 years ago, is not going to work now.
Ranjan, thank you for the amazing value as per usual.
Thank you.
We're going to be putting this. Ranjan will be on the post as well. So like, comment below, and obviously if you have any questions, very important around property, finance, come see us. As you know, he even joked about he knew someone good tax advisor. I'm wondering who he was talking about, right? But it's all about value. Come to the Baker Street meet, see all the network, grow your network, and take your business and your property entrepreneurship to a different level. Thank you, Ranjan.
Brilliant.
Love it.
Thank
really,
you.
really.
Thank you.
As you know, we can't have a Baker Street property meet without speaking to Andrew Roberts, one of the main people on this show. He's going to give us his legendary financial update, you know, with the key bits that are going on right now, because there's so much. And I was saying earlier, which unfortunately we lost a bit of it, was there's so much going on. For me, one of the biggest things we've got to talk about is it a recession or not, Andrew?
Well, according to the data, we're in what's called stagnation. So there's no growth, there's no decline. That is in the economic terms. Now, what I will say is there is definitely a recession in terms of the property market. I've demonstrated with how house builders are slashing back on their build programs because they don't have buyers. How materials prices are falling. Anecdotally, in the room tonight, I was speaking to somebody else and they said they were offered materials at half the price they were this time last year. That is the same as I've seen. It's the same as some of our students are experiencing in their developments as well.
I think there's so much to unpack right now with the economy. There's the general election impact. There's the 8 weeks that Ranjan was talking about. If you're doing any permitted development or planning, you need to know of. You've got the inflation, which is allegedly at 4.6 or 5% that they're saying. In the real world, we know that's not the case, because when you look at basket of goods, you know, don't you?
Yeah.
So that inflation's still kicking in. Yes, it works for property investors who've got mortgages, but trying to get into the property market, how are you finding
it
from
it
what you're
works
seeing?
for certain property investors. I mean, come back in January and we're launching 10 strategies that are failing and 10 new strategies you need to move into for the next 2 to 3 years.
Wow.
An example, HMOs are failing. Now that is controversial because lots of people out there on your channel are doing HMOs.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're on a fixed rate and you're coming off that fixed rate HMO and you've used the commercial valuation, expect to be giving money back to the bank or be negatively geared.
the big thing with HMOs is Andrew's alluded to the financing implications, which are huge. I think the other thing is the rising costs, because gas, electric, and all of this has been killing people. And
well, the mortgage costs going up, the utility costs, the compliance costs, all going up. What is happening is we're seeing landlords becoming negatively geared. I demonstrated in the room tonight how one landlord had their fixed rate mortgage go from £200 a month to £800 a month.
Wow.
They were not able to put up the tenant's rent, therefore they were paying to keep the tenant in the building.
I think there was a big
So
stat.
landlords are actually very charitable.
I think there was a big stat that you guys mentioned about how many buy-to-let landlords.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned 120,000.
Yeah.
I was mentioning.
Yeah.
Right. So that was 120,000 buy-to-let owners sell their property every year. And the interesting thing is, they might have sold, but how many are reintroducing it as buy-to-let? You said it dropped to 90,000.
Yeah.
That is huge. That's huge, isn't it?
In a typical year, there's approximately a churn where landlords retire, landlords might sell off and reinvest elsewhere. In a typical year, there's about 120,000 sales, but there's also about 120,000 purchases, so it's a neutral number. But this year, what we've seen is 120,000 sales, but only 90,000 purchases. So the gulf is widening, which is why rents are rising, because there's less stock out there.
I think that 25% drop is quite huge, and no one's really explained it. So Andrew had huge value by explaining it that way, because many people don't understand what is happening. So the reason why is all these pressures, right?
Yeah.
Because of financing going up.
Finance is killing it, the
killing
compliance,
it,
the taxation.
Oh.
If you've not done your Section 24, talk to Z.
And this is the kind of mindset is re-changing, and this is why the property strategies that you do going forward, because property will always work, but the strategies will change with the times. That's why you've got to speak to people like Andrew, Watcham, Ranjan, because they've got the knowledge of what's happening. They've got their finger on the pulse of what property strategies. What's the top 10 that
what
you're
I would
saying?
say to your audience is, if you do not change, you will die as a business. Let me use the example of Z here, has a really successful LinkedIn channel. If this channel was on MySpace, it would no longer exist. You have to move and adapt.
Absolutely.
You put it out on TikTok. You'll put it out on whatever the new channel is that is helping your business grow, thrive, and expand and make profit.
And do you know what? You've hit the nail on the head. We've actually diversified across all social media. We've probably had 2 to 3 million views in the last year across all social media. That includes YouTube, TikTok, and all the other fun ones that you can't post much on at the moment, right? But it's really quite important to understand that diversification. Same with property. That's what Andrew was saying. So Andrew obviously knows a lot about commercial property, a bit like Ranjan, but he's also done loads of residential property investment strategies. And he's saying that move the time. Last question. Those top 10 strategies, which one would you recommend as in the future property strategies? What would be your number one?
What would be my number one? I will tell you my number one on the 10th of January at the bakerstreetpropertymeet.com.
Exclusive.
I can't release that.
Okay, can you name one of them, maybe not your number one of the 10?
Z, I will get murdered by my business partner Ranjan.
Oh, we want exclusive. Well,
I will give you an exclusive the day before the event.
Perfect. Do you know what? He gives us so much value. We're so appreciative. If you haven't seen his update in full, I'm sure that's going to be on Succeeding Property in all the aspects.
It will be on the YouTube channel Succeeding Property. We'll launch this market update sometime during December for you to binge watch over Christmas.
And it's valuable because he's sort of giving you the highlights. That's what we're talking about, and you can go in detail because all of that is relevant in a fast changing environment, especially in property world and entrepreneur world. As always, thank you so much, Andrew.
Likewise.
Thank you so much. We're at the Baker Street meet in November 2023. We've got Keenan. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to get a few words, a bit of an influence on social media. I love some of his videos, especially around property. Keenan, how did you find the Baker Street meet today?
I found it very useful. I came here with some set objectives, which was to get some valuable insight from the experts in the field that do it every single day, which is very important, and also to connect with the experts as well. I've got an interest in trading through auctions. So I gained some valuable insight and information from Andrew as well, which I'm going to catch up with him. I made him, he's not leaving until I have a conversation with him. Yeah, we're going to hold him hostage.
Yeah. Andrew Binstock.
Yeah. So, and also connect with some good people as well, like Z and some familiar faces as well. So it was very, very useful for me to be here. And I found it worth my while. I came all the way from Birmingham. Usually I get here spot on time, but I made sure I was here. I was in London from like 4 o'clock.
Wow.
So 2 hours in advance, I wasn't missing any moment of connecting with the right people, which the main man said it's important that we connect with people moving into a window of opportunity in the property market, and an opportunity that I plan to get a hold of.
Let me jump in here for one moment, because Keenan loves talking, as you can see, so do I.
Passion,
love it. One of the things I want to know, what are you getting for your property strategies? Because some of the PD rights, some of the things happening, how is that going to shape what you do going forward and what you communicate to others going forward?
Very good point. So I trade property deals and help investors that don't have the time but have the money to build a portfolio in Birmingham. So what this has enabled me to understand is another strategy which I can not only think of ways to make properties commercially viable for myself and investors, but it gives me the angle, the edge as an investor, but also somebody who can help sellers in a way, because you have typical investors that are not very clued up in a way as they should be. Therefore, because they haven't invested the time to, one, be here, and secondly, to be clued up on their knowledge, which is very important to me, because not only can I offer value to the marketplace, I can also offer solutions to sellers that may not be able to get those solutions at hand.
And you've got to love Baker Street Meet, because there's so many people, as you can see, going around. Keenan, that was huge value. Obviously, you know, when it comes to finance, tax, structuring, you know where to come. But Keenan's obviously adds huge value. We'll CC him, we'll put him in the comments, and he'll be in there, and I'm sure he'll comment as well around his insights. And do follow him as well, because he does add a lot of value. Thank you, Keenan.
Thank you.
Really
Time
appreciate
as well.
it.
Thank you.
We've got Sam here from Blue Bricks Magazine, and he's come with us to the event of Baker Street Property Meet, November 2023. Sam, how have you found it?
I've really enjoyed it, Z. Thank you very much. It's one of my first property events in the City of London.
Wow.
About 300 people here, we counted, didn't we?
Yeah, more than 300, I think. And it's your first time at Baker Street as well.
First time at Baker
Sam
Street.
come down with us as well, so obviously he understands VIP treatment, even though I got here a bit late. So what's the key thing that you found from this property event? What's helped?
What's helped? The talks around the new permitted development rights were fantastic, how they work, and just met some really interesting people. So the magazine's national, but I live up north, so to actually come down, meet some new people, see some new faces and some familiar ones, it's been quite nice. And spending the evening with you, that's always a highlight.
Oh, now he's humbling me. Also, the network.
Yeah,
you met Ranjan, you met Andrew, you met a few other people as well. And especially what you do.
Yeah.
You know, especially in property, this is like the mecca, isn't it? For property, if you think about it.
It's perfect. Met a lot of interesting people, and a lot of people to follow up with tomorrow as well. So
wow.
It's going to be probably some new people for the magazine, absolutely.
Love it.
Some new readers, so yeah.
And just let everyone know, I know I'm going to mention in the podcast, there was a bit of exclusive. You got a big event coming next year, haven't you?
We do have a big event, so this was secret until yesterday with you. So we are running a awards ceremony next year for the property industry, the Blue Bricks Property Awards. We've rented out an entire castle.
In Chester?
In Chester. On the 19th of June, it's going to be super high end. It's going to be like nothing the industry's ever seen before. We're going to do good things.
Excellent, and you'll see it. We've got a podcast with Sam. He's given his huge knowledge of property world and being an entrepreneur and his journey. So we love it, and he also has enjoyed Baker Street. Don't you love it?
Perfect. Cheers, eh?
Baker Street, November 2023, and the last one in 23 is finished now. It's happened. I hope you enjoyed the content. We got Sam here. Have you enjoyed the journey, Sam?
It's been well worth coming down for.
First Baker Street, as we mentioned earlier. We're now rolling up, exiting this place. You can see everyone's leaving with huge value. If there's anything that you want to hear or listen or want to know about, please do comment below. Let us know. We'll make sure in future editions we include it. thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Have a lovely time enjoying this, and I hope you enjoyed all the content.